things first. Can we, I know a number of you were not here or had not even been called when we did our actual conference training. So if we could, can we just kind of go around the room? If you'll introduce yourself, where are you teaching? What age group are you teaching? How many do you have? And then what's been your favorite part so far? Should we start with the positive? What's been your favorite part so far about teaching seminary? Okay, so let's start over here and we'll just kind of go clockwise. Oh, sure. Yeah, I should introduce myself. You're going to get unsolicited text messages and videos from me all the time. So that's me. Yeah. Yeah. So I am Ricky Anderson. I am the Institute Director and Fresno Coordinator. So I half run the YSA program with the Institute, and then I am assisting with your training as early learning seminary teacher. So that's me. Okay. Thanks for reminding me on that. Okay, so I have how many students we have? We have 200 students. I don't know, something like that. All YSAs. No, just who I teach. Yeah. So that's me. I teach a bunch of people at all different ages. So let's start over here. Yep. Name, where you at?
Darnell, I'm from the Visalia Stake, and I first year teaching juniors and seniors.
Great. How many do you got?
21.
Okay. All right. Favorite thing so far?
I love them.
Good.
I love seeing them stand up and not afraid to share their testimony. I love that, and the answers they give, I think, it's really been amazing to see.
Love it. Okay, thanks, Sister Darnell.
Hi, I'm Carly Sears, also in Visalia. I'm teaching a class of freshmen and sophomores, and I have 22 kids. And my favorite thing about my class is they just are so fresh and curious and bushy-eyed and ready to soak it up.
Freshmen are fun.
But, yeah.
Okay, love it.
I'm Elmer Montui. In the Sierra Ward, where I'm teaching students.
Is it all ages? Probably.
Freshman.
Okay. When did y'all start? Last week?
Pretty much.
So you've only had 4 or 5 days? Okay. Favorite thing so far?
Just getting to know them.
Okay. Right.
Call the kids.
Good.
Justin Atkinson, Fresno East Stake, the freshman. They're 15 or 16, 15, 16.
If your co-teacher's here.
Eden Gardner.
Okay.
I like, sounds strange, but I like how nervous they make me because I'm a parent and I'm learning so much preparing to teach.
You like how nervous they make you?
I don't like, I like being put. So
Okay.
I like this.
I love it.
How good it is.
What's that?
So you recognize how good it is?
No, how terrible. I'm used to teaching adults. It's different.
This is a different animal.
Cameron Beatty, Clovis East State. I teach an early morning class. That's freshmen to seniors.
It's the early.
But 6:30.
It's like the cart class or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it ended up being the original, like the time we used to do. I was a sub last year, and I subbed a little bit first semester, and second semester I was teaching at least once to 3 times a week. So then now this year I'm co-teaching. And the thing I like the most is I like to ask them questions about what we're reading. Like, it's hard to get them to be like, hey, I like this verse for this reason, but sometimes I'm like, hey, what does this mean? Sometimes I'm asking because it's a phrase that I'm not sure what this phrase means, like what this prophet's trying to get at. And then I really love that sometimes they answer something that I hadn't thought of, that I think really strikes the chord of the verse.
Yeah.
And that I go away that day like really content, even if no one else got anything from class. I'm like,
You did.
That one student that answered my question because everybody else didn't answer. That one was like, I'm going to share this thing. I'm always very content with that.
Love it. Fantastic.
Keep your order. Freshman for the Magnolia.
my favorite thing probably is similar to that. Trying to have them recognize something. Saying how they view a certain principle and seeing the other kid agree.
I love it. Right.
My name is Bill Barlocker, and I teach one of the senior classes at Newport State Center. 20 senior class,
Seniors only, right?
seniors only.
Okay.
What do I like most? Just probably asking them questions and listening to their found out.
Yeah, and you teach with
Nathan,
and he's not here today, right? Because he's traveling. I think. Or dinner or
He
something.
would be here, but
I think he responded.
Terry Smith, and I'm also over at the Fresno North State Center. I do the early morning one. The kids remind me that's what it used to be, so.
Yeah.
It's still pretty early. And so I have freshman to senior and team teach with, Kirsten Greenlaw, who is wonderful. My favorite part thus far, I have to narrow it down. Ditto all these. It's taking me back to the mission field for some reason. And I had an opportunity to work with a lot of youth on my mission. And so it's kind of fun to be able to sit and work with the youth and I've done young women and all that kind of stuff too, but in a different setting. I don't know, you're just, because you've got the young men and the young women and just listening to them. I mean, these kids are so special. I don't know. I just love being with them.
Great.
Yeah.
I love it. We're gonna skip our supervisors for now. Is that all right? You haven't taught yet, Brother Freeman, but go ahead and introduce us to.
I'm Brother Freeman. I'm in Fresno State. I'm over students that go to Bogota.
Right.
It's about 12.
Yeah, we've been struggling to get this staffed and it just happened. So tomorrow is your first
I
day?
have no idea what I'm up against. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Eyes wide open during this discussion. Okay,
Two sons. And a niece.
love it. All right, and the Ansevals.
Yes, I'm Chandler Onsabach. I'm the Fresno East SIG. We teach at the Fowler Building, juniors and juniors and seniors. Sorry, I'm tired. Juniors and seniors. I co-teach with my wife right here. And favorite part, I love the little moments where you watch as these kids the spirit takes hold and they have that little moment where they didn't realize they could use something in the scriptures that they had dealt with maybe their entire lives, but then like, oh, this is useful. Who would have thought? Those little moments are just kind of my favorite right now.
Love it. Therese?
Yeah, so I'm Teresa Spot, so same class and everything. I guess my favorite thing right now is just kind of like watching to see they know more than they think they know, like a lot of the kids. Like they know the answers, but they sometimes don't always know how to apply them. And so it's kind of interesting to see when they start to apply them and it starts to click.
Yep.
And you just kind of figuring out which questions to ask to help them make those connections, to help them realize, oh, you already know the answers, now use them.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Love it. Fantastic. All right, we're gonna go to our Zoomers. Sister Wayland, can you introduce yourself? Where you teaching at? What age group? How many you got? We'll see if she's there. How about Brother Hanson? Go ahead. Introduce yourself to us.
Sure, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, now I
Up,
can't.
down.
Hold on.
Oh,
As soon as you started talking, your volume went out. Go ahead and do it again.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good, good. Yes, no?
I'm gonna change it to.
I can hear you.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm Brother Hanson. I'm up in the mountains teaching the youth in the Yosemite ward. meeting in the Oakhurst building. And we currently have 10 coming all the time regularly, another 5 or so that we need to keep reaching out to. And they're all ages. We've got a few freshmen coming in, so that's exciting. My favorite part so far, I think, has just been getting to know the youth and how they because like many of you, most of my experience comes from teaching adults, and so teaching youth, it's been fun seeing that they put on a tough shell, a facade, so to say, but they really have strong little testimonies that they're working on, and seeing them participate and write in their journals, and seeing that testimony come out is it's really fun to see.
That's awesome. I love it. Sister Wayland, I see you unmuted. Are you there?
Yes, finally, I apologize. Technology has been the bane of my existence the last 2 weeks. My seminary teachers students can tell you that. I'm Rhonda Whalen. I'm from Fresno, Westlake. I'm in the Madera building. I co-teach with Brother Pearson. We've got the in-town kids, and so we combine our class. We've got freshmen through seniors. The most we've had are 13, but we are working on that. I am rounding up all of our students that are not coming, so hopefully with the Lord's help that will happen. My favorite part is just seeing how kind these kids are to each other, especially so early. We start at 6:20 and they are, not awake, but they are just so kind, and the depth of their knowledge of the Book of Mormon is just awesome. And it's helping me because this is helping me really get into the scriptures. I'm not a scriptorian like I thought I was, but it's been a blessing. I'm really enjoying it, and I love the kids.
Fantastic. Awesome. Okay, and then really quickly, we have 3 supervisors for 3 stakes. Want to introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. I'm Emily Freeman, supervisor and teacher in the Fresno North State.
Age group that you're teaching?
Juniors,
Juniors.
27 juniors.
Favorite thing about teaching?
That's impossible, but I just finished setting up my classroom, and every time I just feel like this is a sacred space. I love that feeling when they come in. It's a safe place. They just, I don't know, they open up there, and I also have loved learning things from my co-teachers growing in my teaching.
Right.
I'm Priscilla Anderson, supervisor of East State.
Okay, not teaching. And
Larry Goss, the supervisor of the Fresno State,
who was teaching?
6.5 years before we went to Parents Grant Foundation.
And then the first 2 weeks,
2 weeks.
you filled in. Favorite thing about teaching? Since you did it just a couple weeks?
Did I learn anything?
Anything your favorite?
Oh, the favorite thing? I think just seeing their faces as you're teaching them principle.
Yeah. All right. So most of us, all but one, have already dipped our toes. We're already in it, right? Before I go to we need to have Laura. You guys need to know who Laura is. I'm ready to go.
Right?
I'm ready to go.
Introduce myself to most of you, but I'm Laura Nearing. I'm the administrative assistant here, and I assist Brother Anderson and also all of you in your callings. I did teach seminary for 8 years, so I know what you're going through. I'm not just sitting back here, typing away, not knowing what you're going through. I've been through it.
She actually, to be honest, if you don't have her number or her email,
Thank you.
yeah. If you don't have a way to contact her, she is the one that will solve all of your back office issues when it comes to attendance, when it comes to marking, reading, when you have an assessment and you got to figure out how to put that stuff in. How do you close the class at the end of the semester? Okay, so she is, if you ask me one of those questions, I will do my best, and then I'll say, but I'll have Sister Nearing finish what I couldn't answer properly. So yeah, thanks for that. And for those of you who are in Sister McBride's, one of the 4 other stakes, West Stake, Visalia, Port River, Hanford, you have Sister Madero. who is also awesome. Yeah. All right. Okay. So with that in mind, so I'm going to just open this up, and I am going to allow supervisors, because y'all have been seeing stuff or hearing stuff or observing stuff as well. But I kind of want to open it up to you teachers. What has been your experience? What is it that you have questions, concerns, challenges regarding that you would like our assistants helping you with, that you feel like counseling together in this group would be helpful with everybody? Okay, I'm gonna ask that question and let that simmer. But does anybody have something ready they want to jump at? Please,
I'll tell you one thing.
give me your
I'm in a,
darndest.
I'm happy that they're there, whether they're there before it starts or they're there 30 minutes after.
Okay,
I really struggle with the whole tardy, absent, I struggle with that. And I need to know. I've asked, people said, no, they're not there by 7 o'clock, they get a tardy. And I'm like, they're there, they're coming, I'm happy. But like I said, I'm an enabler. I have a good parent, I'm the bad parent. So I don't know, like, when should I say, Max, you got here 5 minutes before it ended, you got an absent, what should I struggle with that.
okay, let's start with attendance. This is a good question to ask. You got some older, you guys are teaching some of the older kids. I promise you, if this is not an issue now, buckle up. It's just going to start. As seniors get further along, juniors get further along in the year, this is going to just become more and more of an issue. So the question is, I hear in your tone, is it that big of a deal that we track?
I mean, yes, but when is, I don't know, like.
Please.
Both my boys are in sports right now. And so one has to leave early, the other one only goes twice. We've had them 4 times. And so, as a parent, being able to understand, we kind of came up with our own little thing, but is it 4 tardies in our state? I don't know how it is, but we just have it where my younger son that's in basketball that misses half of it. Sunday, we just have him go and answer the questions. And he's one that it's hard to sit still and do it, but as a parent, that's been put on me, not as a seminary, so it's hard to go and say, parents, Sunday, and this is what you have to do with your kid. But it's been good on our end just to have, we've set aside this time for our son to do his makeup. Now that we're getting into it, we've had kids that have come to us and say, hey, we have a lot of kids that leave, they come for 15 minutes and then they have to go to band or they have to go to.
Yeah, there's
we have
always gonna be things.
Yeah, but we have in our state, it's equal an absent.
And I thought we couldn't do that anymore. I thought that was
So here's how this is gonna go. I'm gonna give you what the general policy is. And then it actually comes from your stake at how they want to take that and run with it. So if this is actually a document that we have available, if you aren't here for conference, we may need to make this available to some of our new teachers. But it was in a bunch of stuff that we had available in August. So a tardy, by definition, is arriving late, leaving early, and missing significant portions of class. If you ever had a bathroom rider, somebody just happened to just disappear in the hallway and 20 minutes later, you're like, where'd Johnny go? Okay. When a teacher observes that tardiness affecting the learning experience, the teacher will counsel with the student, parent, and then leaders to encourage on-time attendance. Parents will be made aware of any tardiness concerns before credit is withheld. Okay. Tardy is not to be equated with absences. Now, this is interesting because this is straight from the policy, and I think that's up for interpretation. Seminary credit may be withheld, however, for excessive tardy. So in one breath, it says, don't equate to tardies. And then in the next breath, it says, but if they're excessive, you can withhold. And so 4 tardies equals an absence is the way that North State is trying to quantify the tardies so that they can actually work through makeups.
And if I can speak to that, that's because last year we had no tardies. And it was really, really bad. So it's a little bit like it's a correction, right? And so
Correct.
the year before that, we had, 15 minutes, and they announced that, like, 15 minutes, you're tardy. So guess what time everyone came to seminary?
15 minutes.
So, yeah, so now the tardy is if you come in after the opening prayer, and that's gonna vary a little bit from class to class, but we just kind of announced it. And to speak to what you're saying, like, Benny, I come from a classroom background as well, but I think that high love and high expectation are really great for our students because they rise to that. And if we act like, if we don't value seminary, if we don't value the importance of it, and we kind of send that message if we don't expect them to be there on time, right? Then how do we expect them to value it either? So we can give those expectations with a lot of love still, you know, and we are glad that they're there. We don't put guilt on them or punish them, but we can still set, you know, an
Yeah.
expectation.
And this is gonna be, like I said, you may not have this issue right now, and so kicking back your legs and going, this isn't my problem. Oh, wait. Just wait. So there's a couple of principles you're gonna need to understand. I think that it's really helpful that we understand. Tardiness affecting the learning experience is probably the principle here. I am not one that is very Nazi about on-timeness for on-timeness sake. It's actually more, how does this disrupt their learning experience and how does this disrupt the seminary experience, right? So that's kind of the principle behind all the things. Number two is addressing a tardy goes in phases. You talk to the student, right? Pull them aside. Don't make a big scene in the thing and you know, embarrass whoever it is that they stop coming to seminary, period. So you pull them aside after class and you just have a conversation. And if the behavior still is, and it's still a distraction to their learning experience, then you reach out to parents. And then if not parents, then it's leaders. And if none of that changes the behavior, just keep track. Counsel with your supervisor, counsel with the stake, and decide what is the best thing for that student. And because we all know that there's going to be different backgrounds, different situations that are going to affect different things. And so I would definitely just make sure that we got to just keep a good record. Otherwise, how do we support anybody if we don't know what actions?
Fix it. If I had an iPad right there and when they came in and signed in and it automatically said, then I don't have to worry about it anymore. That's them coming in and signing in, but it's me going and saying, oh, you're tardy.
Yeah.
Oh, you're tardy.
Absolutely.
You know?
What do you think, Laura?
One of the things that I did in class that I thought, where I wish I'd done it way earlier, is that I didn't make the rules. I had the kids make the rules. So, for example, we had kids who would go to the bathroom and be gone for 20 minutes out of class. And I'm like, well, you know, how am I going to give you credit for being here? And so I asked them, what do you think that the bathroom rules should be? And so they came up with their own rule and they had to leave their phones on the table. And they could go to the bathroom and then.
And that was their rule.
Yeah, that was their rule. They came up with it themselves. And so they had investment in that rule. And so, you know, if you have kids who are like, you know, how is it fair that they get marked here when they're not here, you know, and I'm here all the time, and, you know, then you counsel together as a class and have the class make the rule. And then it's, you know, it's their investment in that rule and in that, or, you know, however you want to call it. I like that.
For those of you who have older students, I would highly encourage class councils. Whenever you see something happening that is starting to make you a little bit nervous and you're starting to see a pattern, the next class, start with a 10 or 15-minute class council where you're saying, all right, here's what I see happening. You can do this with the younger kids too. I'm not saying don't, but with your older kids, this is going to be a pattern where they can take ownership. And it is very helpful when you, even if it's something like tardies or being gone or whatever. Class councils are money.
The last 15 minutes of class when everybody's there.
Or
Right?
whatever.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Right.
The other thing I would say, this is probably the biggest issue that I think universally teachers face, is when there is a tardy problem, we decide to delay starting class later and later because we want more and more there when we start, right? The problem is there's an attendance creep. So they're all showing up 5 minutes late, so you delay 5 minutes and then they realize, oh, we didn't miss anything, so they delay. Like it's gonna creep, and eventually you're gonna find out you're not starting class for 15 minutes. Start on time, regardless of how many kids are in the classroom. You don't need to be the excuse why they're late. So start on time, start with a song, start with a prayer, start with a devotional on time. And then as kids get there, they'll start to realize, and you can have that conversation. Makes it way easier to say, hey, you keep showing up late. And they're like, yeah, but by the time we're here, you guys are not even started yet. Whereas you could say, you're getting here and the devotional's already over. You're missing out on what your classmates are teaching each other. So that's, I would say, do not just start on time, start on time, start on time.
I have one more thing.
Please.
In our state, we have 200 kids, and I didn't realize that this also can be a problem if one teacher's really nice and doesn't mark it
Totally.
tardy, but then their sibling is arriving at the same time in another class, and they have a strict teacher marking, which is why we had to have a policy for many reasons like that. Or if you have two freshman classes and one's doing one thing and one's doing another, it can cause a lot of problems.
Yep.
When that clicked for me, I was like, okay, I've gotta kind of toe the line on this a little bit.
Love it.
Consistency.
Love it. Okay, great. That was a good start. What else you got? What are you guys facing in your first couple of weeks that you wanna discuss here? Say the same thing about
Can I
letting
ask
out
a
early.
question? Is anybody having any trouble marking attendance?
How do you get the whole of your class to show? Because we keep getting the whole building of like kids to show, and we have to search each kid's name when we sign them in for attendance. Like, we can't just get our class to show.
Before you leave, let's talk.
Cause that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, that shouldn't be the case. I hand over your camera. Were you about to say, ask your question?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, for me, the things that I stress about the most are like periphery parts. Like for me, like I can study, I can go teach a class, but managing like attendance and the like the things that to me feel like, not that they're not important, but they feel less important than
Peripheral's a
having,
good
like,
word.
Good
Sure.
lesson. Like I think those are the things that I feel like I'm not confident I'm able to stay on top of.
Yep.
On top of like my other obligations in life. And so if I'm like looking to make sure I'm getting certain things done, I'm like, I need to make sure my lessons are good. And the other things feel less important. Now, I'm saying they are, but that's like the struggle I have
Yep.
internally on when I'm preparing, or, oh, I have time right now to work on seminary this week. Well, I need to work on my lesson.
Yep.
And that's what I feel like I need to focus on.
I love it. This is really good. Really good. We're gonna use the word administrative. Okay, to describe the peripheral things.
Sure.
So besides marking attendance, what would we say is the other administrative tasks that a teacher is responsible for? Makeup work? Which is tough, right?
Reading.
Marking your reading. Anything else? What would you add? Reading,
At the end of
attendance.
Term credit and finishing out the term.
Yeah, so you've got your three things required for credit in seminary. You've got attendance, you've got your reading, and you've got the assessment, right? And we could talk about the learning assessment if you don't know what that is. And then you actually have to like go through your class to make sure that those records are right at the end of the semester. So that they do earn credit if they earn credit, right? So those are the things that you have. Any other peripheral administrative supervisors?
Communication, if you're doing that, that would be like. not
Reaching out to
required.
parents
Yeah.
if there's an issue, that's
For devotionals.
yeah. If you have that system, what would you guys add? What would you add, Sister Anderson?
It's just, you have enough chairs, you have enough tables, and your tables disappear over the weekend.
You're right.
Yeah, class setup, class takedown. If you've got that room that you're sharing with the Relief Society or primary. All right, so let's talk best practices. Have you figured any of this stuff out yet? We should probably talk to the supervisors. You guys are the most skilled. How do you handle the administrative role with the teaching role?
Well, I only did attendance once a week. I mean, I logged it, I had the kids.
How did you log it?
Just like they wrote what time they got there.
And you would just do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday?
They just, and I've been to other classes where they just have the kid's name pre-printed on this side, and they just change the dates, so you just keep copying the same master paper, and then for the.
You make them put in the time they walked in?
Yeah. they
Or
put
would
the-
you just check, I arrived?
Depends how your state tracks. I always had to put the time, so if the parents ever came back to me and said, No, I dropped her off on time. I'd say, well, she signed in at this time. I didn't do it. She did it. It's in her writing.
Yeah, you may have dropped her off. That doesn't mean she got to the classroom.
So I did it once a week.
You had them filled out for the full week at that one?
No, they would walk in,
Oh, and then
you'd
you
have it on
you
the-
just upload it.
Just go in, quick. Who's here?
Sister Naring, your thoughts?
Well, you said maybe I should just, yes, do that. I would put an, I would put my tablet by the door
Oh,
and have Wise up, and when they came in, they would do it themselves.
I know, but I wish it had a timestamp on it, so.
Oh,
if there was a
gotcha.
time, they see it as
That's
a
true.
month
Okay.
apart. Or
Yeah.
if it's board ended, that's an absence.
Yeah, because
know,
then once
absence.
everybody has said that they're there, all you have to do is change it to absent and hit mark all unmarked, and the rest all of this.
Yeah.
Done.
This is gonna sound silly, so, cause I was out of town, the other training,
Sure.
and I was at a sub last year, so like,
You didn't
I
have to
didn't
do
any
any
of
of
this stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know where to go to log in and see my class and mark the
Okay,
absences.
come talk to her
My
after.
co-teacher sent me something, but he sent me like a Google Drive where I don't see that stuff, so I don't know if that's what he was talking about.
Yeah, and we would highly recommend that if you have a co-teacher that seems to know how they're doing WISE, do not just rely on them. Because at some point, last semester, we had the WISE expert stop teaching.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the one that didn't know anything about WISE was now just the one in charge of it, and that was kind of a thing. So
I'll come down.
let's
Yeah.
talk so that
Yeah.
we can get you logged in.
Great.
You were gonna say something.
Well, I have a role that our kids sign in, and we have assigned an attendance specialist in our class, and they either go out and switch the color of the.
You have a
book,
student that does that.
Signed as that. They go out and circle everyone that's absent after the prayer, and so then if they sign in, they should put an X, but if they sign in after that, we know
Ah.
that was a tardy.
Class roles are genius.
Hmm.
If you can stay on top of them. Meaning you have assigned people, assigned students to do certain things. You just have to be super intentional about the roles are and then following up. Okay, I love that. That's a really great. Larry, would you add anything to this on the administrative?
When we were teaching for those 6.5 years, we didn't have a lot of these problems. 6 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock, and the whole class was there at 5 till. One reason for that was we tried to do something really exciting at the very beginning. And then as they came in, I had my iPad sitting there, and I would shake their hand first attendance and get that all, taken
You just
care
did
of
it first thing.
first thing.
Yeah.
And we had our devotional actually at the end before they went off to their classes. Maybe that's a little unusual, but we felt that we had the prayer, of course, at the beginning, but we had the devotional at the end when they were all awake.
Yeah.
We didn't have some of these other problems because we just made it exciting for them to be there.
I love it. I think the principle here is elder bednars, are we agents who act or are we objects acted upon? When it comes to the administrative side of seminary, it's really hard when you're being acted upon to keep up with any of this stuff. And so these are some really interesting intentional ideas to be on top of some of that. Once a week's fine. My only disclaimer about the once a week stuff is make it once a week. Because sometimes it accumulates and then we look and we get a report saying this teacher has not entered attendance for a month and a half. And we're in May and we're like, holy parents don't even know, because parents can actually see all of the attendance in their app. And if they have no idea that their kids missed the last, 2 weeks because we haven't been keeping attendance and reporting it to them, then we got credit issues and parents don't know. And what we want to try to do is make sure parents know so that they can do what they need to do. Because the last conversation you want to have or supervisors want to have or we want to have is with a parent saying, how come my kid's not graduating with seminary? And you're like, oh, didn't you know? So we want to make sure. I don't think it's an accident that one of the first revelations of the restored church was you are to keep a record. And I think there's many reasons why the prophet Joseph was told to do that. And for us, there's many reasons why we got to keep a record. And a lot of it is we got to support parents. And this is one of the ways we can support them. So yeah, other peripheral administrative that we can kind of get out.
No, I think getting it wise will be helpful.
I think reading, you guys tell me, I know it's, you guys actually, your reading experience is not even close to the same. Same thing with the reading requirement. Now it's not a daily read. It's not chapter, it's not every chapter read. It's selected chapters is what they have to read to earn credit. A very similar system. If you want to have, we have access to some reading charts where you can give it to them occasionally and say, mark the chapters you've read, and then gather them back up because they lose them. And so there's ways that you can get them to mark it themselves. They should be able to mark it on their own app.
We actually have a class sticker chart. I love it.
It's a
Juniors,
sticker chart.
juniors.
Where they go put the stickers up and it has the chapters all listed and they just do the thing.
Oh, goodness. I have my wife, and there's nothing for the kids for the beginning of the Book of Mormon. And I'm trying to do DMs with them and they don't even know. I'm like, did you guys do this in seminary like last semester? And so are we responsible for making sure they got all the reading done for?
Here is what you are responsible for. First and foremost, you're responsible for this semester.
Okay, that's it.
Okay? Not that's that, not just that, that's it. That's first and foremost. You need to just make sure that you're keeping the right track of things this semester. When we get closer into the semester, you'll either your supervisor will ask, or if you can, it depends on the stake. Fresno State has a designated person who actually looks at everybody's past semesters, and she'll look and see who's behind, and she works with them. I don't think that's the case with some of your other stakes, in which case you do it. You do it. I don't know about your supervisor.
I don't know either.
Typically, the supervisor is the one that looks at previous terms, and they may actually ask you, hey, will you help with facilitate some of this? How do you guys do it? Just for kicks and giggles. Okay,
I go straight to the parents. It's a pass.
okay,
I'm gonna check the teacher first. If they're not already, the student doesn't already approach the teacher saying, I want to take care of that, then I work with the parents and the teachers and do it.
okay. So it depends. That's not me.
No, there's a U-Haul
Oh.
blocking the street, so someone's honking because they can't get out.
Okay, am I overwhelming you yet? Okay, good.
When you look at me directly.
But yeah,
No, I'm good to go.
with the peripheral.
Yeah,
okay.
no,
All right, good,
you got some good ideas.
good.
So, and I think getting logged in
Will be helpful. Totally.
because I'll see the path.
It seems like in our discussions, you remember when you were first called and you're like, we'd talk all these nice flowery things about teaching, and you're like, I don't even know how to log in and mark attendance. So I want to make sure that you guys feel comfortable with some of that stuff that ultimately you're kind of responsible for. Okay. Other, yeah.
The marking the lesson.
How you set it up in Wise. If you're not familiar with this,
Marker less.
if you're not familiar with this, and we'll show you how to do this, because and there's reasons for that. Again, this is just that peripheral back office stuff. If you can actually put it in Wise, that means that when that student misses class, parents can actually pull it up on the app. They can see the day they missed, and they can actually see the lesson that they missed. In which case, when you say you need to have 75% attendance or better, and you've got 5 lessons to make up, they can go and check right on the app the lessons they missed, and they can just go and do the ones that they've missed.
Because I never knew about this and I have kids.
We
I've
don't
never
never
heard
heard
of
their
this.
stake yet. I mean, we just, or like pick a student lesson from the week you were gone.
Is this a new thing, this Wise thing?
No,
Should I?
no.
I mean, how old is it?
It's
If you
it's.
go to the virtual training, I think I have it.
Do you have it on the virtual
Yeah,
training?
Sure I do. Yeah,
So if you
so,
put it in and your kids are all plugged in and using it, then the kids can see what they missed. But you don't have to put it in.
I was like,
teacher.
I haven't
Okay, wait,
seen
wait,
anything
go back,
about
wait.
it.
okay. Brother Beatty, wait,
Which one?
go back one more.
That one?
slide. Yeah, Wise 2, churchofjesuschrist.org is the website for Wise.
Yep, it's
Yeah,
just your
and then
church
you'll
username and
sign in
password.
with your church account.
And there's some
username.
things we'll have to do to help.
I thought this was some like backwater website.
Nope.
To track things.
Nope.
Back-
And
backwater.
you'll have to like set up two things,
Two-step authentication.
The authentication.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey-
back in the we had to change our passwords every 6 months.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
It was such a pain. So now all we need is two-step authentication.
Tanner?
Yeah, quick question. So, this discussion reminded me of myseminary.org. So what the parents can use to like log registration, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
And that's where they can also mark their reading. I'm assuming that it is up to the seminary teacher to, if they need to, walk the parents through how to even access that. Because when I first met with the parents, and I explained registration, most didn't even know what myseminary.org was, or didn't have a login or something
Right.
like that. And
Yeah.
so I'm curious if it's up to the seminary teachers to walk them through myseminary.org.
I've seen this done in the stake seminary kickoff. Here, okay, just let's be frank. Church technology is never what we would like it to be. And so when this first came out, we pushed and we pushed and we pushed, but then there were bugs and students had issues and the parents. And so it seems like stakes have kind of backed away from it. That tends to be kind of the pendulum that we swing, right? But it always gets better. So I always feel bad because we push it, then it kind of sucks. And so we back away, but then it continues to improve and then we never touch it again. So if you can, that would be great. If you can train your students to jump on the myseminary.churchofjesuschrist.org, when they log in, they can mark readings. They can do it right there. Totally, there's YouTube videos. Yeah, there are, you can find little clips. I think I've done a couple, but you can find them anywhere where they walk them through it. If you want to, you can get one of those YouTube videos that walk parents how to do it, and you can just send it to the parents and just kind of let it happen. So
I also, I can send out, I have a QR code that the students can just use and it takes them directly to my seminary.
5 minutes class, because I didn't have it on my phone. And so I asked the question, how many of the kids had it? And I think we had 2 raise their hands. And so we all did it as a class and we got out their phones. We just.
Yeah.
let 'em
And,
download it.
and just to clarify, we call it an app, but it's not really an app.
Well, but
It's a
yeah,
website. Yeah, but I'm just saying, everybody does it. We
used to
say
have an
my
app and
seminary
it
app.
was fabulous. And
Yeah,
then
and
they
then
got
they
rid
got
of it.
rid of it. And so now it's myseminary.churchofchrist.org. And you can make a desktop, shortcut, or something so that it's kind of like an app, but.
I'm wondering, where does it have it?
Reading, no, what were we talking about?
We were talking about
Oh,
lesson
lesson
setup. Here we go.
Okay,
So-
so there is am I doing it or you?
Do it.
Okay,
I'll
there's
just
a tab
through it.
on your Y screen that says lessons. And this is not mandatory. You don't have to do this, but I encourage it because it saves so much time in the long run. So when you get there, you're gonna see all of the days that you have classes in this kind of light blue.
It's called
And
the
then-
edit lesson schedule. I
Yeah.
think that's what the tab's called.
And so you can say, okay, I want to just change a day, I want to do a week, I want to do the whole month. And so whenever it turns dark blue, go ahead and scroll down or tap down. And okay, so you start to get this for June 28th. This is the lesson for, this, I guess that's what, sorry. Anyway, so for a certain date, let's say you were going to do, I think I said acquiring spiritual knowledge. So you click on this little plus and or here, I guess, and you pick which one you want and you add it and it saves. And when you do that, like he said, if the students miss a day and they go to my seminary, not only will it show, hey, you missed a day, but it'll show which lesson they missed. If you do not do this, it just says see your teacher, basically, something like that. If you want to save yourself the time of having to write down the lessons that they missed or, whatever, this takes a little bit of time, but in the end, they just go to there, see which one they missed and do it, so.
Question too, it might be alluded to on that, but say if we do 2 lessons, and once you combine them.
Yep,
Yep.
you can put them on the same one.
Yes, yep.
Because I see that kind of on the bottom one.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
have them together.
so you could have 3 if you wanted.
Is my seminary the same as Wise 2?
No,
Wise 2 is,
No,
Wise 2 is
that's
yours. It's your administrative tool. My seminary is for students and parents.
And they're linked?
Yep.
Yes.
Can you
Yep.
tell me, I missed the beginning, where did you find it in Wise? Yourself?
Okay, so when you go to, I don't have this screen up for, do you have Wise up?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a tab, I don't want to triple any course. You have to go to a class. Okay. And right there, let it. So when you go to your class, it'll say students, details, class sessions, lessons. So the lessons tab gets you to that.
And we can walk you through individually if you want to like see how this goes and you want to do that specifically for your class. Feel free to stay after and we can kind of show you some of that. Does that answer your question, Keaton?
Yeah.
Is that good? Okay. All right. Okay, any other questions or concerns? I'm gonna turn to the supervisors to see.
on.
Oh, did you have one? Yeah.
Actually, so we had say one of the kids being
Disruptive?
not a morning person or that. Not a morning person, right? And then say some of the kids start kind of just turning and teasing them a little bit.
Mm.
And completely, in some cases, completely unprovoked, right? Where, you know, I say like there's students with, I had the situation where there's two students with the same name. I'm like, okay, so how can I differentiate? Can I do like so-and-so and then their last name initial and the other one kind of just, it's kind of like, can't just do like whatever kind of look. And then someone else kind of made a reference to kind of twisting their name into kind of a
Yeah.
derogative nickname.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and like it was done like in jest, like oh, and they immediately was like, oh, it's like I'm just kidding, it's fine, I'm just kidding, I love you. But that person really obviously did not appreciate that at all. How can you
Okay, now the
manage the classroom?
question is about classroom management now.
Yes.
Okay. Are we far enough in yet that they're getting comfortable with each other, that you're starting to feel it? Okay. Okay, classroom management's really interesting because it really depends on the personality of the teacher. Right? I'm gonna go to the educator. What do you think? Classroom management.
I think a lot of it starts right at the beginning, the tone you set the first week, and just, I always talk about the most important thing in my classroom is this is a safe space. We don't ever, you know, and I give examples right at the beginning. We don't make fun of anyone. If someone's commenting, we're listening. I spell it out, even for juniors, seniors, like we just, and we'll even model sometimes what that looks like. My co-teacher had one rule, the only rule in our class, and she posted it, and that is don't do anything that takes the spirit away or from you or others.
Mhm.
And so we sometimes bring that back, like if we're doing a group presentation, I think communicating expectations very detailed ahead of time, especially if you know, like you've seen that happen in class, then the next time if you anticipate that there might be any issue, then you can start by just detailing. Now, we're going to have these classes. Remember that we expect you to be listening. You know, being respectful means that you're not making fun. Like you just lay that out at the beginning. I feel like that often sets the tone. Now, sometimes if they're very disrespectful, you might have to just say, "Oh, remember our rule," or you know, if you've done the groundwork in the beginning and you've been pretty. I mean, I want to say like they always taught us as teachers, don't smile until Thanksgiving, which is not true, but the idea of it is that you kind of have those expectations at the beginning and you're firm, and then you're able to really like loosen up and enjoy your class as it goes. But it's very hard to regain control if you just kind of let it fly at the beginning.
Yeah, you have a responsibility to go cultivate a learning environment of love, respect, purpose, right? But that's going to come down to you as a teacher to kind of set that tone. Sometimes, because I'm kind of a sarcastic person, and so sometimes when I'm cracking jokes or whatever, that goes, and it's the same way. If you're too free too quickly, they take it and they run with it. So you have to really kind of watch your own tone, your own interaction with students, and be able to quickly and consistently catch them when they're doing something that's invading that environment of love and respect, right? And so if you can nip it in the bud quickly, that's good. Yes, ma'am.
So going back to the kids making up their own rules in our class, if you put someone down, you had to do push-ups. And so if someone said something mean, and they would say, that was a put down. And so they'd have to do the person would have to do 5 push-ups. But that was their rule. They made that up themselves, so again, maybe, if it starts to become an
Class council.
issue, yeah.
That's a really good place to do a class council is, hey, I'm worried as your teacher, I'm worried about how we treat each other and that we feel safe and that this is a good place to share. What should we do? And have that conversation.
Okay, that helps.
Oh, sorry, let me do one more thing. I'm talking too much. I think the teenagers really like to know the why, and you want them to feel safe enough to have great discussions and to build that. And so I try to let them know the reason for this is so that we can have an amazing classroom experience together.
Yep.
But if you don't feel safe commenting or being yourself, then we're never gonna get there.
Love it.
I just, staying with the students here, I had a conversation with, a parent over the weekend. And their student, they love seminary, but they don't want to be there because they don't feel like they have a friend. And this is a student that's very outgoing and very confident in class. And I would have never known this had the parent not said something. And so, I know a lot of that is we pray for, the discernment to know, the needs of the students and stuff. But, I just, since I've had this conversation, that's the only thing that's on my mind. It's like, how do I help this one student feel loved from, not just because, as teachers, of course, we express that, but that's not what's making her hate seminary. Sorry, I was trying to keep it anonymous.
No.
Here. But yeah, how do you create those? I know they'll come in time and with our activities and these things where we pull the students together, but if there's any insight as to how to do that.
Well, it's all about connections. The first of the school year is a great time to not, you gotta be careful how I say this. It's a great time to give them opportunities to get to know each other, to whether you're doing get to know you games for the first couple of days, get to know you, get to know each other, get to know what seminary is like, go through class rules, but keep it so that they're having these experiences together. You do that, you establish that really well at the very beginning of class. Then you start going, all right, now here's what this is going to look like. And then you start getting into the flow of lessons. That's a really helpful way to establish it early. Let them spend some time together. I was in Sister Sue Williams' class last week, and she did a doctrinal mastery carnival. And it was more carnival than doctrinal mastery and whatever. There's thoughts I had, but the experience is they were getting together and forming relationships with each other and with their teacher, and it was a really good bonding experience. They will do whatever Sue Williams asks them to do because they have created this relationship. I'm not telling you to be a elementary school teacher where you have lots of games and fun and stuff like that, but you are going to have to give your classes experiences together so that they are bonded together. Is that all right? Okay, now we're go ahead.
Can I make a quick comment? Also, if you are having serious problems with students, like, disruptions, things like that, please don't sit there and deal with it yourself, and ask the supervisor, the coordinator, the bishop, the parents to come into the classroom and sit in there with your class. You do not need, this is not like, what's the right thing to say?
You're
like,
not an island.
yeah, that, and yes, you're serving the Lord, and we know that, the Spirit can help us, but don't sit there and just deal with that yourself. Ask for help, anybody, their parents, their, the bishop, anyone.
Okay, we're coming down to the end. I think one of the other areas that I feel like new teachers struggle with is pacing. Okay, I've sent this to my teachers. Hopefully, I don't know about you new teachers. Is this the first time you're seeing this document? Yes? Well, because I just found out you got called. I'll get it to you. Okay, this is basically just the pacing calendar, but if you notice that on the one side, it's come follow me, and then you've got the 5 lessons for that week, right? This was last week. Where are we at? Are we on this one right now? Helaman 7 through 12, or are we 13 to 16? 13 to 16 is next
Yeah.
week. So that's that. All of these are hyperlinked. If you have the document, you could just see what the week is, and you can click on it. It'll take you directly to the individual lessons. The problem is this is a 5-day schedule, and most of y'all are doing 4 days.
4 days.
Except for you guys. They're doing
Ricky,
4 days.
I did get a 4-day pacing guide as well.
I know that Sister
They
McBride
do exist.
she made one. I'd want to give you a little bit of space to choose. Okay. Because there's 5 great lessons, and I'm not going to choose for you which one you're not going to teach. You had your hand up.
So I know my co-teacher was asking me this,
Mhm.
and I didn't know about this. There's these other lessons that we're supposed to cover, right? He was unsure when we were supposed to include those. Should we do them all in a week?
Which other ones are you referring to?
He told me a bunch.
Are they the summer ones?
No, not doctrinal mastery. I had some acronym, I don't know what it was.
Acquiring spiritual knowledge.
Those were
The life
So
preparation.
here's what you need to make sure that you do.
acquiring spiritual knowledge, and then he said there's these other ones which were the life skills.
Life
Yeah, life preparations are not thou shalts. So if that, don't even burden yourself with it until you start to get to know your students.
Okay.
And so here's what you need to do at the very beginning. Whatever is good for your class is the
There's
answer.
no expectation that we should have done this like 2 weeks ago.
The only expectation is doctrinal mastery. Okay, do we have issues with doctrinal mastery, you new teachers? So in my pacing guide, you'll see the doctrinal mastery because they're in yellow, right? So those are the ones that have come up. Right now in the curriculum, there's 2 doctrinal mastery lessons for each doctrinal mastery scripture verse. There's a context one, and then there's a more practical one, okay? Starting in January, that goes away, and there's only 1. Doctrinal mastery will just be 1 day, okay? So it allows you to slow down. That's actually why I love doctrinal mastery, because there's not coverage. There's not a need to go, we need to do all this. You're focusing on the doctrine, and then you're focusing on practicing with the doctrine. And so it allows you to slow down and do some real practical things with it, okay? The problem is these right here in red, those are all the ones that are of the 12 that are supposed to be done this semester. Those are the 4 that were during the summer. So I would say these are the priority to try to figure out where to put them.
So go back, do some of the summer ones.
Yeah, just these 4 right here. And they're all the Alma ones. Alma 7, 34, 39, and 41. Because that's going to be part of their doctrinal mastery assessment. There's some really great truths in there. It's very practical, very relevant for your students. And so it takes a little bit of a priority over even come follow me just in the block stuff. Okay. So if you're looking ahead, and I also have these acquiring spiritual knowledge, but I actually put them in the pacing. Okay. But if I'm like in the beginning of 3rd Nephi, and if you notice there's no doctrinal mastery on that week, there's an assessment and there's a review. That's a prime week to put in one of the doctrinal masteries from the summer. Mainly because chapters 1 through 7, besides chapter 1 in 3rd Nephi, the rest of that's kind of, it's more pride cycle. Like you've kind of hit that in Helaman, and you can decide, all right, well, instead of doing that one, I'm going to do some doctrinal mastery. Okay. The elders. No, you're good. So if that helps you understand that, you just get to pick and choose when that happens. The expectation is that you just have a chance to spend time with each of those 12 verses in seminary. Does that make sense? There's no timing on this. Just whenever you feel like it can be naturally put in, so you can talk about it. Okay. Anything you want to add to that, supervisors? This is, I always add some suggestions in there. There's always the link to the life preparation lessons. If you don't know what these are, you can just click to the link and it'll show you I'll actually go down to the full manual because it gives you the topics. If you get to know your students to the point where you realize that one of these topics are necessary for them because you know what they're struggling with, feel free to take one of those lessons and teach that instead of any other lesson. Don't try to do both because you can't. But if you found out, if you could tell that your students, for example, are, you got a bunch of seniors, and here are 5 missionary preparation lessons, and you could tell that they're starting to get really focused on the mission, you may decide, instead of doing one of the lessons from Helaman this week, we're going to do one of those instead. You're just going to replace instead of try to do it all together. Does that make sense? This right now is, if you want, starting in January, it will be in the pacing calendar, and it will actually have a day set apart to do one of those life preparation lessons. Okay.
One of these specific or a new set?
You know what? I don't actually know yet. They've not shared that completely with me yet.
The why behind the life preparation lessons is that they've done
Research.
and they've piloted these lessons throughout the world. Kids who have these lessons in seminary end up doing better in school. They're more likely to serve a mission. I mean, they're finding that it's really helping the kids to, emotional resilience and, all different kinds of things, preparing them for the temple and that kind of stuff. So that's the why behind these life preparation lessons.
It used to be that seminary was the only time these youth were ever going to have a comprehensive daily study of these scriptures. This would be the only time they do it. And then the church did Come Follow Me. And now they have their family is an opportunity, church is an opportunity, and seminary. And they said, well, this is a really good time to start addressing some of these other needs since scripture study has become such a focus at church and at home. So now we can spend a little bit of time talking about finances and education and things like that. Okay. All right. I don't want to take much more time. So let's kind of conclude this meeting. I know that some stakes, I'm not saying you have to do this. If you want to grab your people and just kind of talk stakes, you can. If you have individual questions about why is there anything else, we'll talk after. If you want to just go home, you can go home. I want you to know that we are a resource to you in your calling. I don't ever want you to feel like you are alone in this. If ever you need assistance, please reach out to your supervisor or your coordinator. If you want me in your classroom to team teach with you, to teach for you, demonstrate for you, you want me to just sit in the back and just watch your students while you teach because you want to get another pair of eyes on some students, I am there for you. I will be there if you want that. Okay. I'm your resource. Sister Naring's your resource and your supervisor is your resource. So don't keep anything to yourself. This is not your burden to bear all by yourself. Okay. This is like Zion. This is where you start to feel the rubber hit the road when it comes to establishing the kingdom of God, is with these youth daily and experiencing these really great spiritual experiences with them and being a mentor and a guide for them. And it's God's work. So thank you for accepting the call to do it. And I say that in the name of Jesus Christ, amen. All right, well, let's have a closing prayer and then we'll let you do breakouts or come talk or leave, whatever you want to do. Elder, do you mind praying for us?